We're here with Sylvania, BMW Ambassador Nathan Gray. Grazy, thanks for joining us. Let's go back to the beginning. What's your first memory of watching the Wallabies play?
Hey Stirling, my first memory of watching the Wallabies play was in '91. I was at boarding school on the Gold Coast and getting up with a group of mates, watching the semi-final, and mate, I'll never forget it. I was hooked from there, watching those boys run around and being able to get away with a win, and then obviously leading into the World Cup final, so that was my first memory.
Yeah, mate, what a great memory to have. 91, they took it out. And how old were you back in there in 91?
Mate, I was in year 11, yeah, the Southport school. I was year 11, little boarder, squeezing pimples and discovering myself. So it was a good time and good mates and really strong memories of a really dominant Wallaby side in that era.
You were a decent schoolboy rugby player. What other sports did you play at Southport then?
Mate, at school I rowed, I was a rower. I played basketball and dabbled in athletics. A very poor athlete, but I had a crack at that. So yeah, rugby, rowing and athletics and basketball were my four sports at school.
I think every player gets to a stage where they sort of say, okay, I think I might have a go at rugby. Was there a time in your career or a point in time where you thought, you know, I'm going to have a go and try to be a professional?
It's really interesting because I didn't actually start playing rugby till I was 13. So I was a really late starter and I played through my schoolboys and then into junior representative teams and then rugby was becoming professional in 96, 97. And I was really at that sort of young transition age of 19, 20 where I was asked and offered a small opportunity and I jumped at it and sort of grew with it. I was getting paid to do something that I loved and I thought, how good is this? So I kept doing it.
Yeah, and you raise a great point. You know, doing something you love is fantastic, but I wouldn't mind getting a bit of insight from your perspective, some of the tough things about being a professional rugby player.
I think, you know, when you look back at the time, you just really focused on being the best athlete you possibly can. So I think the sacrifices that you make around, you know, probably not partying as much with your mates, you know, not drinking, really looking after yourself in terms of your physical preparation, making sure your sleep's great. And you kind of miss out on a few of those things that most people from the ages of probably 18 to 25, you know, really enjoy touring and travelling a lot. You kind of give that up to focus on your football, but the rewards are definitely worth it.
One of the biggest moments in a player's career is when they get selected to play for their country. You had that honour of doing that many times. Take us back to your mindset of putting that jersey on for the first time. What was that like?
It was amazing. You know, the opportunity, when you actually get told that you're going to have the opportunity to wear it, that's probably the biggest moment. And then I suppose when you actually put the jersey on, it's more, you know, you gain a lot of confidence from your preparation to be able to wear that jersey. You know a lot of hard work's got into that and you're very confident. So when you put that jersey on, you really want to add to it because you know so many great people before you have been able to wear that jersey and add to it. So you feel a real deep sense of responsibility to perform in that jersey and deliver in that jersey, and that's something that's really exciting.
Let's go back to that. Who was the person that told you and take us through that point in time?
Yeah, I got a phone call from Rod McQueen, the great Roddy. He said, mate, we're gonna put you on the bench. And I was really excited about that opportunity, just to be in that team environment with those guys at the time. I felt very honoured, and I suppose I was a little bit nervous when I first got told because I didn't really want to let anyone down around my performance, and you sort of question yourself a little bit whether you're ready for it. But as I said, you go back to your preparation, you've worked so hard, and you know, the reward of getting that jersey and then being able to wear it is really exciting.
Now, you had a fantastic career. Was there one, I guess, career-defining moment or one of the pinnacle when you look back on your playing days?
Oh, for me, you know, the 99 World Cup was a magical time. But from my perspective, personally, you know, I was a reserve in that team and I didn't really actually get to play that much. So while being a part of that squad was amazing, not getting on the field as much because of the quality of the players that were in front of me. It was a great experience, but I think for me personally, the 2001 Lions series, where, you know, I started in every test and I contributed a lot on the field. That's for me is something that, you know, that I really hold deep in my psyche around, you know, a really exciting time in my rugby career.
Yeah, what a campaign, and to send out a few legends on a winning note as well, it would have been fantastic, eh?
Mate, it was. And, you know, the Lions coming out here, all the supporters, it's such a great brand, and, you know, the Wallabies and the Lions are a great combination of two teams and great supporters, and yeah, it was a really exciting time, and to send those guys off on a winning note and send the enemy back home with their tail between their legs was even more pleasing.
No, it was a great one. Now, Obviously you're coaching and doing really well in that capacity. What allured you to coaching?
When I went to Japan, I finished playing Super Rugby in 2005 with the Waratahs and got the opportunity to play in Japan. And part of my deal over there was to coach. And I wasn't really that keen on it, but I thought, oh, yeah, I'll go away and sort of try and coach a little bit over there. And really fell in love with it. And the parts that I fell in love with was the ability to see young guys, give them a little bit of information and a little bit of knowledge that I've gained from my experiences, and then seeing them grow not only as rugby players, but also as young men. And that was a really intoxicating feeling for me, and something that I really fell in love with. And then, having the opportunity to coach over there and then come back to Australia and contribute here and give back to a game that has given me so much is something that I really love and I really enjoy it.
Now, similar sort of question, have you had a career-defining moment yet as a coach?
No, I don't think so. I think as a coach, you take lots of different moments. Obviously, a lot of people think games and the winning is the most important thing, but I really get a real deep sense of satisfaction out of seeing a young kid come into a squad, develop as a young man, get more confidence as a young man, develop his skills, become a better rugby player, contribute more, become a bigger voice on the field, and play great footy. You get great satisfaction out of achieving that as a coach. And then the results are things that, that's the nice icing on the cake.
And with that coaching lens now, what would be some, pearls of wisdom from Nathan Gray to aspiring young players?
Fundamentals. As a coach, we get a lot of kids coming through, a lot of guys. They're very strong, they're very fast, they're very fit, but in terms of their skill and their skill execution under pressure, in terms of fundamentals, sometimes that's lacking. So to all the kids out there, get your skills, get yourself touching the ball a lot, get yourself making a lot of tackles, understand what you're doing with those fundamentals, and then as you progress through your career, you can get stronger and get faster and get fitter later. Just concentrate on those fundamentals. Yeah,
it's a really great point. A lot of the time, the higher up you go, that everyone perceives it, that there's so much more intricacies and all these things going on. That might be the case, but it only more reinforces the core skills and execution, that component, doesn't it?
Mate, absolutely. It's amazing that we say to a lot of the players that doing the little things right all the time, they're actually the things that differentiate the world-class players to the average players. And sometimes that's hard for guys to understand that, but it's such a true thing. And it's really a focus of us coaches to make sure those fundamentals are perfect.
You're a fantastic defensive player and now obviously defensive coach. What are some of the core principles that you get the guys to adhere to?
Mate, for the defensive side of the game, getting your technique right is the number one thing. When you get your technique right, that allows you to be confident. And then obviously when you're in your defensive system, you want to be able to execute those tackles and understand what your role is. And once you have that good technique and you know what your role is, you can afford to be a lot more aggressive, and then you wind the technique into that, and then you can go out there and whack blokes.
And that's right. I played with you a fair bit and also played against you. I know that was one of the things you loved doing. As a coach, I'm sure you love it when the team gets that right and they start getting really physically dominant.
Yeah, you're right. There's an attacking side of the game and there's a defensive side of the game, and players bring strengths and weaknesses to both. On myself, I wasn't the best attacking player, but I used my defence as something that I tried to be a point of difference. And we encourage all the blokes to bring their strengths to the game, whether that's from an attacking perspective or a defensive perspective. But everyone needs to be able to tackle, and loving defence and having a real passion for it. It's something that I have, and I try and instill that in the players.
Well, Grazy, thanks very much for joining us and providing quality insights, mate. Really appreciate it.
No worries, mate. Anytime.